This is the TRU Leader Podcast. Today we have a fabulous conversation with Greg Bennick. Greg wrote the book, Reclaim the Moment, 7 Strategies to Build a Better Now. Don't miss it.
Welcome to the TRU Leader Podcast. I'm Dr. Tracy Christofferson.
And I'm Michelle Trosett.
We are life and business besties, leadership coaches and mentors, and polarity intelligence experts. We're the authors of Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and co-founders of Missing Logic.
We are here to help high-achieving leaders break through leadership norms that cause them suffering at work and home. If you're looking to elevate your leadership, increasing your productivity, effectiveness, and impact, and manage your health and well-being, spend quality time with those you love, and live your best life, then you are in the right place.
Our goal in this podcast is to equip you with new ways of thinking and practical and tactical strategies for succeeding at work and thriving in life. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of personal and professional development so you can reach your full leadership potential, create a life you love, and be what we are calling a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable or true leader.
If you are ready to learn and laugh a little, let's get started. Welcome.
There you go. There's a one-word start. Welcome, everybody, to the TRU Leader Podcast.
Because that is what we do at the beginning of every podcast.
Every podcast. Welcome. And then we laugh like that. And it's good to laugh, right? I'm Tracy, in case you don't know.
And I'm Michelle.
And we're just happy to be here.
We're the laughing dynamic duo
we
today.
We are. It's all about laugh, 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 laugh some more. Belly laughs.
And you're going to learn why when you listen to
Yes.
our fabulous interview today with Greg Bennick.
Yeah, it was a really good one. He's a really interesting guy. So this is going to be a first. So this gentleman that we spoke with, Greg, he's not only a comedic juggler, he's a punk rock vocalist and a TEDx speaker. Now, I'm telling you, if that doesn't sound interesting, then I don't know what is. Because he does it all.
He does.
Literally. I mean, that's quite the combo when you think about it. And he's a writer.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Has done lots of amazing things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And great energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you interview guests, it's just so much fun too when you're with someone that just carries energy so well and is in the moment, which is what his book is all about.
Yes. Yes, it is. And we talk a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he shares some of his experiences and his reasons for writing the book. And it was just really a nice conversation that I think you'll enjoy as well.
You're going to love it.
Yeah. So here we go. Let me tell you more about Greg Bennick. He is a comedian, keynote speaker, and presenter who shares strategies for juggling a world of distractions to enhance individual performance and drive organizational success. He has been traveling the world, entertaining, uplifting, listening to, and learning from people for the last 3 decades. His work centers around the very human experiences we all share in common amidst a world that continuously pulls us apart. Greg is also the first international speaking coach for TEDx Perth, Australia, and has spoken in 27 countries worldwide, including the first ever spoken word tour by an American of all of Ukraine and Russia. Wow. You're going to learn more about Greg in our episode, and you can learn more on his website. We'll put that link in the show notes. But without further ado, here's our incredible interview with Greg Bennick. Well, welcome, Greg, to the TRU Leader Podcast.
I am very excited to be here. And I say it that way because people always say, I'm excited to be here. I'm very excited.
Well, we're very, very excited to have you.
Yes, we are.
And we want to start out with just a big thank you for finding us.
Yes.
For our audience. Greg reached out after hearing us and realizing that his new book, and I'm going to say the name of it, Reclaim the Moment, 7 Strategies to Build a Better Now, was a great fit for our audience, and thought we'd really have a good conversation. And we did too. So here we are today, and we're excited about that. And, this leadership book is about focus. But I also want to say we always like to know the why behind the what. So we're going to start out with tell our audience a little bit about why you wrote the book.
Absolutely. Well, I feel that the world is increasingly complex, and in a world that is increasingly complex and filled with distractions and potentially overwhelming at times, that one of the very best things we can do is center ourselves. And by centering ourselves, I don't mean in a way involving yoga or any such thing, even those are all great things, but coming back to the core of what we're doing and why we're doing it and the reasons we're doing it, and focusing our intentions on what we want to accomplish. So when I was thinking about even my own life and thinking, what do I need more of? I need more focus. I need more connection. I need more kindness. I need deepened relationships in moments where I feel off track. So when I feel off track and off center by the world, these are the strategies that I use to return back to center, so I can prevent burnout, so I can prevent being distracted, so I can prevent the morale drop, which comes when you feel thrown off track by the world.
Wow.
Very,
awesome.
Very needed.
Yes.
Very needed today.
Give it to us. Give it to us. So there's 7 strategies in the book, and we don't have time to dive into all of them. But if you had to share 3, what 3 would you share? Tell us a little about each of them.
That's great. I mean, I'll just jump into the first couple and jump around a little bit. But, the first one is about pessimism, really, and how to counteract pessimism, because it's very easy to feel as though the world is cruel or uncaring. And when I say the world, I mean the world around you, the world around me. It doesn't even have to be the world at large. It could be the world where we work. It could be the interactions we have. It's very easy today to feel overwhelmed. So believe in the possibility of kindness is the way that I word the first one. And that doesn't mean that we have to always be the Buddha, essentially, in terms of our kindness. We are all inherently harm-causing creatures. We do cause harm. It's something that we do as people. However, when we believe in the possibility of kindness, when we believe that other people have good intentions, when we believe for a moment that our intentions in the world are to do better, all of a sudden it does away with pessimism, at least to some degree, and allows us the potential to move forward into the future that we want. So believe in the possibility of kindness. The second one is a juggling metaphor, and it deals with distraction, and it's keep your eyes on the knife. It's a juggling metaphor. So imagine if you had 2 beanbags and a knife, and you were juggling those 3 objects. So in front of you are flying 2 beanbags and 1 blade. Where would you keep your focus? I hope it would be on the knife. So keep your eyes on the knife is about pinpointing the mission critical task that's before you. What is the one thing that you need to be focusing on so that you can succeed at that thing and mitigate the ramifications or the fallout from that major, biggest thing failing? If we keep our eyes on the knife, in moments, we're going to get through and navigate problems related to distraction from the thing that matters most. And then I would say engage with laughter. Let's go with that one. I mean, they're all potent for me, and people find different ones, different strategies to be potent for them. But I'll go with engage with laughter. We have to remember 2 things. One, our work is supposed to be fun, and our leadership and our teamwork and our communication is supposed to be fun. And secondly is that we live in a ridiculous condition. We are limited creatures with infinite imaginations. That means that 200 years from now, the 3 of us and our listeners are not here to enjoy this podcast. That's unfortunate and sad. However, it's great because it's fuel for living. And in the midst of that dichotomy, we have to remember it's a ridiculous condition. We always have to keep a lighthearted approach, even when we're feeling overwhelmed by the world. It's always the best way through. When I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and I default to, I'm doomed, I can't make this happen, and this happens to me all the time. When I default to engage with laughter, it's always the right choice And I often forget that myself. So these strategies are reminders to me as well as to my readers.
Mm. Wow, you picked 3 great ones.
You did.
I love them all. I love all 3 of them. And I think we do forget, right, that we're here to have a joyful life.
Absolutely.
We're not here to suffer and struggle, and so much of that we bring on ourselves.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that. Yeah. It is meant to be fun.
Yeah,
it's just a reminder that it's the little things too. They're not major tasks we have to take on. They're really simple.
That's why the title of the book isn't Change the Entire World and Reclaim Your Entire Life. It's reclaim the moment. It's like in this moment, if I'm distracted and I've got my phone in my hands and I'm texting my mom to see what she's doing today, and I'm doing the podcast with you, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, later today, Thai food sounds really good. But wait a minute, I have to be working on this and make sure that this is okay. Forget about it. Reclaim this moment, reclaim the moment, and then you're going to be able to create the future that you want. So the strategies in the book are mindset or perspective shifts that allow us to reclaim the moment and build a better now. And then you can launch into the future that you want in this ridiculous reality that we've created that requires laughter and requires kindness and requires keeping our eyes on the knife and focusing.
Yeah. And I like that too, that juggling analogy of the knife, because I think so many people are overwhelmed by so much, right? But so much of it is not what matters most. So much of it is the extraneous stuff, right? That really at the end of the day is not going to get you closer to where you want to be. And so I just really like the way you, kind of create that image. And what is the blade? What is the knife that matters most? If you give attention to it.
Yeah, because, and piggybacking on your great idea, it's like, it's not going to get you to where you want to be, but it's also not going to get you to where you are. Right? If you're so scattered in the moment and distracted, if you're feeling overwhelmed by pessimism or feeling the potential for defeat before you feel the potential for success, there's never going to be a moment where you actually are ready. So let's get ready. Let's get ready for the future that we want. And these are strategies that help us do that.
Love that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, Greg, you say in the beginning of your book, and I'm going to quote you, losing focus impacts possibility and negatively influences your now. Can you please unpack that for our listeners?
Absolutely. So I'll put it in terms of me, because I can't speak to every single one of your listeners, though I would love to, and I would love your listeners to be in touch with me about this. But when I am scattered, my this right here is completely impacted. For an example, for my rest of the day, I have other things to do. There are other things. I will do other things. When we finish our time together, I'm not just going to sit here and continue talking to you for the rest of the day while you're gone and doing what else you're doing. I'm going to do other things. But if I think about those things right now and I absorb myself into those things right now and I worry about, plan for, strategize about, and try to actualize those things right now, I'm missing this moment with you. And in missing this moment with you, I lose the potential to develop the relationship with you. I lose the potential to laugh with you. I lose the potential to create with you. And the potential in the moment is immense. The potential in the moment is immense. So when we focus, we reclaim this moment so that we can create together. Ultimately, the strategies in the book are not just about reclaiming more moments and building more better nows. It's about creating space so that we can create, so that we can grow. Meaning that when we focus on one another, we create the potential for this conversation to be the best it can be. We create the potential for the relationship that we have in this moment to be as nurturing as it can be and as fulfilling as it can be. One of the other strategies, as an aside, is about developing relationships and how we psychologically as humans come into our own and become more of who we are by way of relationship. I am more me because I'm speaking to you right now and with you right now. The way that we react to one another fulfills us in a way and nurtures and develops us in a way. We become more ourselves in relationship. So in this moment, in this now, I'd be losing out on me if I lose my focus. I'd be losing out on developing who I am by missing out on this relationship. So when we focus, we gain all of that and more. We gain the potential and create space to grow and create together. There's a lot of potential in every moment.
Wow, you said that so well. And what it brought up for me was we do a lot with relationships as well, Tracy and I. And one of the things we bring forward to Polarity Intelligence is the importance of healthy relationships. And it starts with intention. And that's what you're saying. You're saying as well, like you have to be intentional, you have to be present, you have to want to connect with that other person. And it's just critical for both parties, right? For you and the other person.
I absolutely agree. I mean, it's all in. And okay, so let's take it back to that first strategy I mentioned about kindness. If I walk into this conversation and I think to myself, they want something from me, they're going to get something from me, they need something from me, they're going to take something from me, that changes the tone of this conversation. But if I walk into this conversation with a blank slate in my mind and think to myself, they want to have a conversation with me, I want to have a conversation with them, and with that mindset shift around kindness and the idea that we're just going to have a conversation, all of a sudden it changes the tone of all of this. There's nothing to be lost here. There's only things to be gained. And I think that leaders, as it were, remember that as well, that the people they work with and for, and who work with and for them, are not out to undermine or take away from them, but to augment and to support and to nurture them. I think that oftentimes the word nurture is considered a soft skill, which is either looked down upon or maybe not considered as important as a hard skill at times. But I think that when we think about, we nurture and support one another. Think of it as support. Think of it as teamwork enhanced. All of a sudden, we're in a completely different mindset. So I think that's important for leaders to remember.
Well, and it brings up for me the difference between a transactional and a transformational relationship. So, right, there is a time and a place for a transactional relationship, right? I don't have to get into a deep relationship with somebody right at the gas station, as an example, right? I can be kind though, and I can make it as pleasant of an interaction as possible, but I'm not getting a transformative relationship typically in that environment. But in a team, in my work environment, in my home, that's where the potential for being more of who I can be and I am, because I'm in relationship with somebody else, the more potential that has for transformation, both for me and the person I'm involved with or engaged with in that relationship. So that's kind of what came up for me when you were talking.
Yeah, I can see that. And also, imagine that gas station example for a moment, where you're having the worst, and I'm putting that in air quotes, the worst day of your life. And it's not the worst day of your life. Maybe the car didn't start, the air conditioning broke at the house, there's a leak in a something, who knows what, spilled lemonade. It's the worst day of your life. And you drive to the gas station and you're late because it's the worst day of your life. And you drive up and you can't believe the gas prices, and you pull up and you're ready to pump your own gas, but for whatever reason, there's a gas station person pumping your gas. I don't even know if that exists on this planet anymore. The point is, you get out of the car, you have a transactional moment, you pay for the gas, they pump the gas, and then you're so thankful to have a human interaction, you smile at them and you say, thank you. And they are so transformed in that moment by someone actually taking the moment to smile at them and thank them. All of a sudden, that transactional relationship becomes a little bit transformative. There's the potential there in all of our interactions. So I agree with you wholeheartedly that when we're working with or interacting with somebody who we see on a regular basis, the potential for transformation is enhanced simply because of proximity and regularity with seeing that person. But I think the potential for transformative relationships is all around us at all times. And if we approach the world with the possibility of kindness, we most definitely open the door for those types of relationships to enter or to walk through more often.
Yeah. And I think that it's the degree of transformation you're experiencing as well, right? Hey, we want to pause here for just a minute because we're so excited to tell you registration is open for our new free webinar. It's called Stress to Success, the formula for leaders to excel professionally and personally. If you're a leader, small business owner, or entrepreneur, and you're experiencing any of these, you struggle to reconnect or reignite the passion you once felt for your career, your personal life doesn't get the attention it deserves because of the demands of your work life, or the conflict between your professional life and personal life is growing more intense each day, And or maybe you're leaving work almost every day less and less satisfied with your performance. Then you might be making one or more of these mistakes. Sacrificing your personal life to focus on work challenges or projects every week. Staying late at work most days or making yourself accessible 24/7, answering texts and emails and phone calls. Maybe saying yes to requests to take on more responsibility or projects when you prefer to say no. Or spending increasing amounts of time doing things that do not bring you joy or drain your energy. Or maybe telling yourself every week, when things slow down at work, it will get better and I'll have a life. Truth is, if you keep making these mistakes, you'll keep getting the same results. Well, what you really want is to excel in your professional life and career, meaning you want to be highly productive, well-regarded, and respected by your team and peers, and have a positive impact and influence in your work. And at the same time, you want to be living a fulfilling, thriving life, meaning you want to spend quality time with family and friends and maintain your health and well-being, experience joy, and prioritize your personal life. But you don't know where to start or how to get off the hamster wheel you're on. The only way to excel professionally while thriving personally is to be a thriving, resilient, unstoppable, or true leader. In the webinar, Stress to Success, the formula for leaders to excel professionally and personally, we reveal the formula that we've used and leaders around the country we've mentored have used to excel in their professional lives and career while living a fulfilling, thriving personal life. Click the link in the show notes to learn more and register today so you can start living your best life as a true leader. So I appreciate that. Thanks for bringing that forth.
Of course. Yeah, all your ideas are great too. I mean, I love the idea of thinking transformatively about the people I see every day, because to your point, sure, the potential is there, right? But we often get into this routine. Oh, I see you every day. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see you every day. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see. I know you. I know what you're going to do. I know what you have for lunch. I know when you take your lunch. You take a break at 10:15 in the morning. I see you every day. But when we take the moment with those people who we see every day, to your point, there's a lot of transformation potential there in the relationship quality.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, well, we certainly appreciate humor, and I think we know you do as well. And, you know, just the importance of laughter for leaders and the importance of humor and teamwork. So if you could share with our listeners just a little bit about how you've used humor and laughter to build teams or in teamwork, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I mean, I can use an example, and I'm pretty sure this is in the book if I'm remembering correctly, but I was working with let's say an internet service provider company at a conference, at a major conference they were doing. And I did a workshop. And in this workshop, I had people break into small groups, and I had them think of an example of something that couldn't possibly exist at their company, meaning could not possibly exist. Like, let's say we, right now in this moment, we're trying to think of something that could not possibly exist. And we said, flying cars that make pizza couldn't possibly exist. There's no way I'm going to walk outside on the street later and see a flying car that cooks me a pizza and it hands me the pizza. Can't exist. It was those type of things. Be outlandish. Just get ridiculous. What would you love to see at work in the processes, the product you offer, the way you interact, all of it that does not and could not possibly exist? And people were having a great time coming up with outlandish things like the flying car that delivers you a pizza in the context of their work, right? So then I said to them, okay, now what I want you to do without any limitations on budget is create the possibility that this exists, and then go after it. Tell me what the plan is for it. Create it. Create the car that delivers a pizza. What would it need to have in it? It's not going to have a pizza oven. You see where I'm getting at. People were using their creativity and their ridiculous side to come up with these fantastical ideas, and everyone ended up laughing. When you hear people laughing around the room, it transforms you. It makes you feel different, and it enhances your creativity, and it sparks your mind. And I know that from the stage, because a lot of what I do is keynote presentations for associations and for companies and groups and whatnot. When I'm on stage and I use laughter, in whatever capacity that might be, whether I'm balancing a chair on my face or juggling the machete that I talked about before, both are things that happen in my keynotes, and I hear people laughing and enjoying the moment, I know that they're primed for all the ideas that I talk about in the book. And I think that they're also primed, even if they've not read my book, to work together better, to enjoy one another. When we're laughing together, we grow. It's kind of like when we break bread together and share a meal. There's something that's connective about that lays the foundation for all the relationship development that is to come.
Well, we're really into laughter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. You have to, right?
It-
You have to be.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's probably one of the most common comments we get from listeners to our podcast is they love tuning in just to hear us laugh. And I don't think there's ever an episode that goes by there we don't have a chuckle or two.
Well, yeah,
Well, we're big laughers.
we have a great shared laugh. I mean, if we were standing here just talking and nothing was leading to smiling or laughing, this would be, this would be a terrible day. No, I mean, this would be a different experience,
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, there's nothing like a good belly laugh.
Oh, for
nothing
sure.
like it.
Absolutely. And one with spontaneity too, right? So,
Yeah.
if we came in with pre-planned jokes and humor and whatnot, I mean, that's often the way I think of humor, as it were, that it just wouldn't be the same as us just creating a moment together. I think that's the best.
Yeah. Well, and you are actually an actual juggler. You've kind of dropped some hints along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's fantastic. So, share with our listeners just what the lessons of juggling have taught you about what you do and what lessons you want to pass on to them.
So there are so many that in the next 4 hours, I'll explain exactly what each of them are. The lessons that I've learned from juggling. Well, first and foremost about confidence. When you start and learn how to juggle, people always say, I can't do this. They either say it out loud or they say it to themselves. And that's partly because of our relationship with gravity, that we can't imagine we're going to counteract this major force in a way that we can control, even for a moment. But when I learned how to juggle and I'm throwing a juggling ball back and forth for the first time, I think to myself, oh my goodness, 15 minutes ago I said I wouldn't be able to catch this, but I just caught it at least twice. That's really cool. Confidence boost. I think too that there's a relationship aspect to it as well, that when I'm on stage, if I'm juggling something, the audience is loving watching this. And, I was once asked, why do people watch me juggle? And the answer that we came up with, it was a professor of mine who asked me that many years ago. The answer we came up with is that people watch me juggle because I'm playing with forces that affect us all. Okay, that was cool. I'm like, all right, I like this, because all of a sudden juggling becomes not just this, I can do this, look how cool I am thing, but rather look at what we experience together. And it becomes this relationship building tool. So I love when I do a keynote and then I'm doing a workshop where I'm teaching people how to juggle at a conference or an association meeting. And all of a sudden people are experiencing together that confidence boost or that shared experience of, oh my gosh, look at you. You just failed. You just dropped the ball, and they're laughing at each other. But then that other person gets to laugh at them a few moments later when they drop the ball. And all of a sudden we're laughing at one another in a really supportive way because we're all trying to learn something new. So for me, the lessons were endless, especially as I took it to the stage and then learned how to interact with people in more powerful ways and more, humor-filled ways, comedy-filled ways, and laugh together. It's just been an incredible journey along the way. Not to mention challenging myself to learn new things. That's always a part of it too.
Yeah.
And that was a very...
How long have you been juggling?
I was going to say, that was a very abridged version of the lessons. I could literally talk about all that.
I'm sure you could.
How long have you been juggling?
I did my first professional show when I was 13 years old. So it's been 10 years. No, it's been quite a few years. And I did my first professional show at 13 and my first corporate when I was 15. I've got a story in my book about interacting with a man named Victor Kayam, who owned Remington at the time and later the New England Patriots. And I interacted with him at 15 years old. And the story's in the book in a really funny way. That was a really human interaction between myself and this really powerful businessman that taught me, wow, this juggling really is a connective tool that lets even the most powerful of people suddenly feel like a kid again and laugh. So it's really, it's been a long and really fun journey.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is.
That's really cool. Well, we're at the point in our interview now where we get to ask you some mystery questions.
Great.
So people can even learn more about the true you, Greg.
Please.
And I'm going to kick us off. And the first question is, What's your most embarrassing moment speaking on stage?
My most embarrassing moment speaking on stage, without a doubt, and this is the first one that comes to mind. So I'm saying without a doubt, but I bet if I thought about it, I'd come up with others because there have been many. I was once performing on stage after a performer had been on stage, and he had ended his presentation with a magic trick. And his magic trick was that he turned a candle into salt. I don't know how that happens. And even if I did, I probably wouldn't say. But he turned a candle into salt. Well, that's endearing. And the salt ended up on the stage, and that was great. Well, the next person to walk out on that stage certainly hit that patch of salt when they walked on stage and slipped and fell in front of hundreds of people mid-sentence. That person might have been me. So yeah, that could most definitely be one of the moments. There have been many times where microphones have gone out. There have been all sorts of experiences over the years, but the first one that comes to mind is slipping and falling because a magician turned a candle into salt. Tell me who else in your interview series has or will say that.
Never had that before. That's definitely a true you, Greg.
That's true me. True me.
One time, man. That is just so funny.
Yep.
Oh, man.
All right, here's another question for you, Greg. Who's your best travel buddy and why?
Who's my best travel buddy and why? That's amazing. That's an
Yes.
amazing question. Like traveling, you mean anywhere in the world or traveling locally?
Who do you like to travel with, wherever you're going?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like to travel with my partner, Stephanie. Whenever we are spending time together, it's absolutely incredible. Every moment is like an adventure. And that can be true whether the travel is across the country or the travel is to the grocery store. So that's a travel buddy, as it were, that I really enjoy. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Awesome.
I love the adventure,
Absolutely.
just again, living in the moment, right?
Living in the
Well,
moment.
it's kind of like when you're on the internet, right? And they're asked, those things pop up, like they show you this picture of this amazing place. Who would you take with you?
Yeah, who'd you take with you?
Now, that might not be the same person that I would want to be stranded on an island with, but
I'd happily be stranded on an island with her. That would be fine. I'd be overjoyed.
I may want to be a little more strategic. Like with somebody who has the potential to get me off the island.
Well, that's true, right? Yeah, exactly. In an ideal world, right? My best travel buddy is the person who owns the 747 with the
Exactly.
and access to every major airport in the world. But I guess, right? If I have to choose, I guess I'll pick Stephanie. Even though she doesn't have the airport.
That was the perfect answer.
Yeah,
Perfect
whatever.
answer.
Okay, fine.
Perfect
You'll do.
answer. Oh, man.
Well, Greg, this has been a fantastic interview. We are so excited for you in the book, and can't wait for our listeners to read it as well. And is there any closing remarks you'd like to make before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'd love for the conversation to continue. And what that can mean to listeners is to be in touch anytime. And people can find me, of course, on LinkedIn. They can find me at gregbennick.com. My name, is spelled GregBennick.com for anybody listening and not viewing the interview. So people can find me in those places and on Instagram with the same handle, first and last name. And I would love to hear from people anytime about the reactions that they might have to anything you said or I said, or supportive comments or comments on the book. I'd love to hear those things anytime, whenever you're listening to this, whether days from now or years from now. I'd welcome those comments always.
Yeah. And where can they get your book?
So the book's available everywhere that books are sold. I actually was in a bookstore yesterday where I live in Seattle, and I asked, "Hey, any chance you're going to carry this book?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we already have copies on order." So the typical places you'd expect: Barnes and Noble, Amazon, places like that will all be carrying it, of course. But also ask and check in local bookstores if people want to support places like Elliott Bay Books in Seattle or Powell's in Portland, Oregon, places here in the Northwest. But wherever you might be, whether you're in New York or LA. Ask at a bookstore, because the distribution chain for the book is substantial, and that bookstore will be able to access or order Reclaim the Moment, 7 Strategies to Build a Better Now, even if they don't carry it in store directly.
All right. Awesome. That's wonderful.
Thank you
That's
so much
wonderful.
for today. Thank you for this. This has been great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We really, really enjoyed it. And thank you, listeners, as always. We appreciate you so much, and we know you're going to love this conversation we just had with Greg. And if you enjoyed it, share it with others, because that will help Greg's word get out there, and it will certainly help our podcast as well. And subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet, so you can actually see us live in our brick studios.
And our matching outfits.
With our matching outfits.
That's right.
The most important part.
Oh, and thank you again, Greg. So, and for everyone, until next time, stay safe and stay healthy.
There we go. Bye-bye.